Hi, Libra. Welcome to your January 2020 Astrology 33 bonus love reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, if you watch this when I first post it, I actually won't be offering personal readings just yet. But when we actually physically roll into the month of January, I will pick them back up around that time. So just check out the description of the video for more information on that. As for what we have in front of us, this is what I call the Bridging the Gap spread. And the way it works is the cards on the left side represent your energy toward the connection with your main love interest. Cards on the right side represent their energy toward the connection. These are the past energies, present energies, future energies. Once we get through the main spread, we'll actually pull some oracle cards to gain some additional insight into the situation. That's where the Bridging the Gap dynamic comes into play. And as for the decks being used, on the left side, we have the Lover's Path Tarot. On the right side, we have the Tarot of Sexual Magic. All right, so with that out of the way, starting with the past energy on your side, we have the Eight of Arrows. So this is the equivalent of the Eight of Swords. It's a Gemini energy, which for you guys is your ninth house. But of course, we could also look at it as being the natural ruler of the third house. So this could just represent communication, right? So maybe for some of you, you might have just felt overwhelmed as far as communication goes. And that would make sense as far as in the past, you guys did have Jupiter moving through your third house of communication. So you might have just felt, on the one hand, you could view Jupiter as a planet of luck, but it's also a lot about expansion too. So maybe all of these arrows represent you might have just become a bit overwhelmed around communication. And maybe from this person, that's certainly a possibility too. So maybe, you felt like maybe they were pressuring you in some way as far as, all of these communication, all of these arrows representing communications. And clearly she doesn't look like she's in too great of a shape, so you might have just been feeling overwhelmed. And for some of you, this possibly could even point to, I'm picking up on the vibe of depression, because what stands out to me is it looks like she's indoors, right? It looks like tiles to me, but then it looks like there's a whole lot of sand or dirt. I don't know what's going on there, so that just makes me feel like this is someone who really hasn't been maintaining the day-to-day responsibilities they have. So that could be what's at play for some of you. Let me see if anything else comes to mind. And for some of you, this could even represent you, having a lot of things you wanted to say, but for whatever reason, not actually feeling comfortable to take the action to say it. Especially when I think about with the Eight of Swords in a traditional tarot, the woman is standing there blindfolded, surrounded by the swords, and could easily move forward in our eyes, but from their perspective, they might feel like they can't. And it reminds me of the same woman from the Two of Swords, which is a Libra energy. So could just be saying that for whatever reason, there was some things you needed to communicate to this person in the past and just never actually came forward to do so. Or again, maybe you might have felt like they were overwhelming you a bit with communication. And again, that third possibility, which was, like I said, maybe some of you were a bit depressed. So just communication in general, you weren't really in the headspace to be doing it. Past energy on their side, we have the Lovers, and we have the Knight of Swords. So this is actually a court card of Gemini, and then this is a major arcana card of Gemini. So between the two of you, we have a lot of Gemini energy. But yet again, like I say here, with this energy in the past on your side, I feel like, well, let's just say maybe there was communication, but maybe it was just one-sided. That could be what was at play there. But yeah. So what stands out to me with this actually is we see there's two women there, right? So what could be at play is that maybe this is someone who had multiple options. And if that's the case, what stands out to me there too is maybe this could represent your energy. If we look at, she seems to be a bit curled up in a ball a bit and not really looking to speak. And then to me, if we look at these two energies, right, this woman's body language looks a lot more open, right? She's leaning in toward him. Her body language is a lot more closed off. So this could even represent one of those situations where, maybe this was someone who you were interested in, and maybe you saw them actually moving into a connection with someone else, and maybe that's what made you feel that way. And it might have been a situation too where they might have shown interest in you, but maybe it was because you weren't moving forward for whatever reason that they started to move toward another connection. But what's interesting to me is if we look at the It looks like Cupid in the cloud there. He's like taking aim at the bond. So it's like maybe you might have even just been getting signs that, you should have been in the connection with this person, but for whatever reason you didn't move toward it. And then with the Knight of Swords energy, this could point to maybe a reason why. Maybe you might have felt that they were a bit aggressive in their approach again, so maybe that's what that Eight of Arrows is pointing to, right? Maybe you felt like they were a bit coming on a bit too strong for your liking. And like I said, it might have just been a bad timing thing if you were going through, for example, some kind of depression or something, and that's when this person was coming towards you, then yeah, maybe there was interest overall, but if that's not your focus at the time, then that could cause an issue, right? And then add to that the fact that this energy doesn't look like a communicative energy. This person might have just perceived it as a rejection. So let's see, we have in the present position, we have balance, which is the equivalent of the temperance card in the regular tarot, and then we have Eight of Cups. So interesting energies here. This is actually Sagittarius energy. So once again, we're looking at your house of communication, right? And then we have the Eight of Cups. This is actually a Pisces energy. So what stands out to me here is that this one is actually a little bit different from the traditional tarot. In the traditional tarot, we see someone walking away from the Eight Cups. And here, well, I guess it depends on how you want to perceive it, right? Maybe she's just starting to pull away from this person, or she's actually coming back toward the person. So for some of you, this could just represent that, again, in the past, you had a lot on your mind that you didn't really communicate, right? And maybe even some of it was just maybe certain things about the connection that you didn't like, right? And now with this Eight of Cups energy, which to me represents normally going forward to find something more fulfilling, combined with the balance card, which is your house of communication, and then we are going to have Mars moving into the sign of Sagittarius, so that could give you, kind of light that fire under that area of communication for you guys. So you combine these two energies, this could just be as simple as now you actually communicate to this person what issues you may have been having, right? Whether they were completely unrelated to the relationship or just, things about the connection that you didn't like. For example, if you did feel the person was coming on too strong, right, you might communicate that to them now. Or let's say that they fulfilled certain needs, right, but there were other things, again, thinking about the Eight of Cups energy being about wanting something more fulfilling. You could say to them, well, I feel like we don't have this, and this going for us in the connection, right? But however that plays out, having the balance card show up here does show that it actually would be a positive conversation. So that's what I'm picking up on there. And you know what? Maybe it's as simple as this. Maybe this was in the past just a sexual connection, right? If we think about the fire part of that, and then the water is saying, well, yeah, that's cool that we have that type of connection, but I feel like emotionally we don't really connect, right? So maybe that's what the conversation is around. And then, or even if you want to put it in a more plain way, is to say, maybe you're like, okay, well, yeah, we have this sexual connection, but I don't, I want to cut that off, or I want to have a serious commitment, right? It could be one of those types of conversations. Present energy on their side, a lot of cards came up. So let's see if we can make sense of this. We have the Three of Chalices, the Ace of Chalices. These are both cup energies, by the way. This is a Cancer energy. This is just a general cup element. Five of Pentacles. This is actually a Taurus energy. And then the Knight of Pentacles. So definitely interesting mix of cards. So we go from all of that air energy to now we have the water and Pentacles. So the first way that I'm seeing this right now is potentially, this could just be saying that they see the potential in the connection. Cancer energy, and this card in particular, it's a pretty celebratory vibe. And then with this card in particular, it makes me think, when I see that egg there, if it'll focus, there we go. That egg makes me think of fertility. So it could just be saying that the person sees the room for growth with the connection, right? And because of that, that they want to actually make an offer toward you with the Ace of Cups energy. Five of Pentacles. Now, this can just be pointing out maybe them realizing that you guys are, apart from each other right now. That's that out in the cold type vibe, right? And what stands out to me there is we see the masculine energy with the red robe and the feminine energy with the bluish robe, and it looks like she's kind of pushing them off a bit. So that could be what's at play there. Again, like I said, maybe this is someone who did make an advance towards you in the past and you might have declined it. So now they could just be coming back around, but maybe trying to offer something more practical, right? Because to me, I look at this as, well, for one, this is Virgo energy here, but this is the slowest moving night too. So maybe it could just be as simple as that, which is to say that maybe they were just taking it as more of a passionate connection in the past, right? And now, maybe after this conversation the two of you have, where you might say to them, well, yeah, this is what I feel the connection is lacking, right? Then they might actually offer you something more practical, right? Because to me, I see that as like a fruit that he's holding. So to me, it makes me think of the fact that they see the connection as more fruitful. And it could have just been that it might have taken them a really long time to do it, basically. And quite frankly, like I said, it could have just been as simple as miscommunication between the two of you, especially someone in this energy. If they're not communicating what's right, what's wrong, and the connection, then can't necessarily expect things to change, So, like I said, maybe Mars shifting into your house of communication gives you the energy to actually communicate these things, and then it looks like things would take a positive shift in that regard. Future energy on your side, we have the Six of Cups. So this is actually a Scorpio energy, but more than anything, we always see this as reconnecting with someone from the past, right? I see this as a bit of a Moon and Pluto type energy. So this could even just be pointing to, as far as when the shift may take place, for some of you it could be around that full moon eclipse in Cancer, because the moon and Pluto will be opposite each other more or less during that time. So that could be what that's pointing to there. But yeah, more than anything, this just represents getting things back on track. Like I said, it definitely looks like there is some type of conversation that shifts things around in some way, shape, or form in the present. So, for those of you who watch this before January, it might even happen then, possibly even around that new moon in Capricorn, because that's a pretty significant one as well. And then for others of you, this could just be saying that once Mars moves into Sag, your third house communication, that opens things up between the two of you. Future energy on their side, we have the Ten of Pentacles. So this is actually more Virgo energy, but it definitely represents that stability, connection we see there. Obviously what stands out to me with this too is the mirror. So this makes me think of mirroring, which could be one of those things where, maybe what was happening in the past was they were kind of playing off of your vibe a little bit, or vice versa, so that could have been what was causing the problem. Like if no one's putting in the effort, then it's not going to go anywhere, right? So maybe it's just some kind of communication that takes place between the two of you to put out there who needs what and why and how, right? And then that actually gets the forward movement. But this is definitely a pretty steady energy. Trying to see if anything else comes to mind with this. And I mean, another way you could look at this too, since we did see that Knight of Pentacles energy, which was a Virgo energy, this could just be saying that the connection gets more grounded as well. If we look at, those are, these are, Virgo and Gemini are both to the Mercury energies. So to go from that Gemini type energy to more of the Virgo energy shows that it could be more of a grounded connection as you move forward. So for the cards at the bottom of the deck, we have the Magician. Well, Magic it's called in this deck, but it's the equivalent of the Magician. So, like I said, it could just be something that might have shifted with you, where now you're actually just more in a manifesting mode. Like I said, for some of you, it could have even been some kind of depression that you might have been going through in the past. Maybe you're just feeling overwhelmed. Maybe you just had too much going on. Because third house above, being just about communication, it could also represent short distance travel, siblings, neighbors. So, you could have just had a whole lot going on at once, and maybe you couldn't put the proper attention into certain things, and now, maybe that's starting to clear up for you guys. and you're actually able to take action now and get everything back on track. Bottom of the deck on their side, they have the King of Swords. So this is actually an Aquarius energy now. So for one, that could just be pointing to all of the energy that's going to be going through Aquarius in January. But for others of you, this could even represent some growth on their part too, if you want to look at it as if they were in that Knight energy in the past, right? Now at the bottom of the deck, we see the King energy. So could just represent some general growth. But yeah, like I said, no matter what, I do see this as a pretty positive spread overall. It definitely looks like there was some kind of disconnect in the past. Looks like in the present, I mean, this is a lot going on here. But I mean, the way that I read it makes the most sense to me. There's probably 50 other ways we could read that, but I don't want to take forever on that. So looks like there's definitely some kind of shift. And like I said, for a lot of you, it could just be as simple as, since we do still see 8 energy here, right? You go from the 8 of arrows to the 8 of cups. Could just be as simple as, these are the things that you would want in a connection, and now you're actually communicating it, right? And maybe even for some of you, because at this point, you might have decided that to not speak up about it is worse than to speak up about it. So maybe this is saying you're ready to leave it behind if you do have the conversation with them and they decided it's not going to work for them, right? But you're like, well, this is better than just wondering and being stuck, right? And maybe, again, that's with the Mars energy coming into your third house. That might cause that. All right, let's see what the Oracle cards add to the mix. First, we'll see if we get anything from the Mystic Moon Oracle deck here. So for those of you who haven't seen this type of spread from me before, I do pre-shuffle this deck before we start recording. And then what I'm looking for here is just some jumpers. So first I'll be looking for unspoken messages from you to them, and then from them to you. And if I shuffle for a while and nothing comes up, oh, already got one for you. And well, I was going to say, if nothing comes up, I just keep it moving rather than force it. But we'll see now if we get any unspoken messages from them to you before we move on. Okay, nothing coming up yet, but I'll shuffle a little bit longer. Almost had one there. All right, nothing coming up there, so we'll stop with that. So what we have here is no ever compares to you. I mean, not a groundbreaking message, but pretty straight and to the point. So that can be, for some of you, like I was saying with that 8 of Cups energy here, normally in traditional tarot, it represents someone walking away looking for something more fulfilling. Here, though, like I said, it does still depend on perception, right? Well, maybe she's pushing away to get up from being with this person, but also looks like she could be coming back around, right? So maybe this was just a matter of you having to figure out emotionally what the situation was, right? Like maybe this was just a matter of you getting a grasp on how you did feel about the person. And now you decide, you know what, I do actually like this connection. And then this could just be you communicating with them and getting things back on track. And like I said, whatever things you might mention to them that, hey, this is great about our connection, but maybe XYZ, it doesn't really work, right? Then it could just be showing that they would put in the work to try to make it work with you as far as seeing those pentacle energies as we move into the present and future position. So that could be what's at play there. All right, let's see if we get anything from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck, rather. Same situation here. I did pre-shuffle this deck, and we're just looking for one card here, and we'll wrap up. Okay, hold on. There we go. You guys got a change in the wind. So there's the artwork, and the number is 12. It's interesting to me is that 12 in the major arcana in the tarot is the Hangman. So they could just be saying kind of what we were feeling here, right? Like something seemed to be stuck in the past. So maybe that's what this is referring to. But we'll see what the actual card says. Okay, it says a sense that unseen change has been initiated, preparation for a storm, awareness that your plans are not on firm ground, feeling a shift, uncertainty about which direction the winds will blow. Quite frankly, that sounds exactly like what we were talking about with the Eight of Arrows energy in the past, right? So, but we'll see if it resonates with the rest of the spread too. The Oracle's message says it's human nature to yearn for certainty and resist change, to want the world to remain consistent like a zebra's stripes. Yet nothing in human experience is black and white, nor will anything remain static. The one thing guaranteed is change. Now is a time of transformation as outer conditions are temporarily moving out of sync with your desires and expectations. Stay the course and remember that even storms serve to clear the air, scatter seeds, and nourish the soil for better things ahead. Life is about to get interesting. Anticipate it with curiosity as you wonder what is coming in on the shifting winds. The unknown is where the magic lies. So definitely an interesting message there. And I even got something when it was talking about, where'd it go? Scatter seeds and nourish the soil for better things ahead. That made me think of what I was saying here. It looked like somehow she's indoors, but it looks like there's some kind of dirt going on there. So it could even be pointing to that, like maybe some growth to what was going on there. All right, the relationship message says relationships go through periods where partners seem out of sync with each other and stormy emotions and moods threaten to take down the ship. Perhaps someone has a change of heart and leaves. These rough seas offer opportunities for mutual growth, a way for you to understand your own heart better and to know what you need to truly be happy. Rest assured that whatever is happening right now, good will come from it. Take temporary shelter and remove yourself from drama. The air will clear and everything will be fresh and new again. This too shall pass. So that's actually a really interesting message there because it said, stormy emotions. Well, first of all, it starts with seeming out of sync with each other. Like I said there, that Eight of Arrows. With that energy, we definitely seem to pick up on that vibe. And then it says these rough seas offer opportunities for mutual growth. So, like I was saying, maybe that time apart might have made you realize what you did and didn't want, right? Or like I said, for some of you where you're like, okay, well, I could stay stuck in this energy of what if, right? Or I could communicate, hey, this is what I need, right? And see if that restores the balance. Whether that balance be because they agree to it and you guys move forward, or because you finally know, all right, that wasn't my person, I can move on, right? Like, it does look like it works out for you guys positively there with the cards in the future. And what else did it say? Oh, rest assured that whatever is happening now, good will come from it. And like I said, that Six of Cups and Ten of Pentacles in the future, both pretty positive energies there. So hopefully this all resonated with you guys. We'll wrap up there. Happy New Year. I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.